Are you at all worried that AI could potentially take over humans at some point?
We're trying to compete with China on AI, and we're trying to compete with Russia.
Have to, otherwise we're really screwed if we don't go aggressive with it. Yeah.
Exactly. And at the same time, you can almost think of it as being like, okay, what kind of security protocols we have in place that if the AI in one of the countries goes bad, that we know it's the AI that's going bad and not the people, right?
Oh man, that's a great point. You're doing some really unique things.
So our company develops software that makes commercial equipment smart.
This is kind of crazy.
So zero-ton lawnmowers that drive without a human operator.
So Ilya Sagalovich.
You got it.
Did I?
Yes.
Sagalovich?
Yeah.
Cool. There we go.
That was perfect.
Havenshine is the business, right? And I think I'm really excited to talk to you today because I don't know, I just nerd out about autonomous and AI and like where the future is going with this stuff. And you're doing some really unique things. Like when I saw what you were doing, I got referred to you by another person that was on the podcast, Ryan. And I looked at your profile on LinkedIn and I went to your website and I was like, man, no one else is doing this stuff. This is really cool. So first, just to give the audience context, other business owners, entrepreneurs, people like that, how would you sum up what your business is in a sentence or two?
So our company develops software that makes commercial equipment smart. It makes it very smart.
And what's an example of that, just so the audience knows?
To be more specific, we're focusing now on the automation of commercial landscaping equipment.
Yeah.
So zero-ton lawnmowers that drive without a human operator.
It's wild. Yeah. So is it, when you say landscaping equipment, I saw the zero-turn lawnmower, which it was just like driving by itself. And I'm like, this is kind of crazy. What else is there in that product line? Or is that it for now?
So we actually have different levels of autonomy. Everything from products just do remote control of commercial mowers.
So you're just sitting in your house mowing the lawn, just controlling it like that? That's
kind
of cool.
In some way.
Yeah.
Or remote control being added to an existing machine on site. All the way to our Sidekick product, which allows one human to operate multiple machines at the same time, almost like in a tethered flock-like configuration.
Yeah.
And then we have a product which is what we call our autonomous machine, our hero product, which operates by itself on large open sites.
Very cool. Can you explain how autonomous vehicles just work in general? Because like obviously I've taken a Waymo in Arizona, which was kind of crazy. I remember getting in it and I was in Phoenix with my girlfriend on a trip. And I was like, they got these Waymo things where they just drive you around. There's nobody in the car. It's like an Uber, like a driverless Uber. And she was like, that seems kind of crazy. I don't know if I trust that. And I was like, let's just check it out. And so we fly into the airport and we get there and we're, getting ready to hail an Uber or whatever to our hotel. And we see one of the Waymos. And I'm like, babe, this is one of the Waymos. Check it out. And I tell you what, like Ilya, the way it dropped someone off, fine. And then the way it pulled out was like really just happened to be like really awkward. It kind of stalled in the middle of the street and then kind of went. And she was like, hell no, I'm not doing that. And I said, all right, maybe we'll try it later on in the trip. So later on in the trip, a day later, we're going to dinner. It's like a mile away from the hotel. I said, let's just try the Waymo. It's a mile away. So like nothing crazy can happen. We're not getting on the interstate or whatever, which by the way, I looked up the safety stats. They're safer than human drivers. So there's that, right? And so we get in the Waymo and it's like kind of weird at first. You're like, there's just no one in there with you. It's a little bizarre when you're used to your whole life driving with somebody and it's just AI, it's technology, it's autonomous. And then we get there and it did a great job. And we're like, all right, let's do it on the way back. So we do it to get ice cream and then we do it on the way back to the hotel. And then we Ubered on the way from the hotel back to the airport to leave to come back here. And by the end of it, I was like, babe, what do you honestly feel is more safe? Like, what would you rather drive in? The Waymos or the Ubers with the humans that are on their phones and like doing distracted and stuff? And she goes, the Waymos. So like the whole thing, just like, that's how fast I think our mindset can shift around this stuff. But back to the original question, how does autonomous vehicles, how do they work? How does that technology work?
Alex, great question about the technology. And just to echo your point, I love the Waymo and I love what Google and Alphabet are doing in that space. Few other companies are trying to get into that. This is what we call on-road autonomy, on-road autonomous vehicles. And what we do is slightly different in the sense that it's more similar to agricultural tractors.
Right.
The way off-road vehicles like commercial mowers and tractors navigate is slightly different from the on-road ones.
Okay.
But let's talk about
Let's
both.
dive into all of it.
Yeah.
I'm nerding out about this. Yes. Go ahead.
So when you have something like Waymo, it would usually rely on a combination of sensors. For those who like technology, this is what they call sensor fusion. So
Okay.
it takes data from LiDAR sensors on the Waymo, takes data from cameras. It also knows its approximate GPS location,
Right.
and then it has a high definition map that it navigates through. So it literally detects sidewalks, streetlights, buildings, and it localizes itself within that map.
Right. So in case one's a little bit off, it has a couple different things to really make it accurate. right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's fascinating that it can actually navigate a car in the middle of a city with pedestrians and bicycles from one place to the other safely and precisely. And this is kind of the state of the art of what autonomous driving technology can do. What is special about Waymo is Waymo specifically has, you can almost think of it as an unlimited amount of capital investment because it is backed by Alphabet, which is the parent company of Google.
Right.
Several other companies try to develop such an advanced autonomy stack. Not all of them are around today. It's incredibly fascinating to see the ones that are actually deploying this technology on real-life applications and are able to operate it safely and efficiently.
So Google basically owns Waymo. Is that kind of what it is? Yeah.
Exactly. So Google owns Waymo, and
I don't think a lot of people know that too. Yeah.
yeah, most people don't know that Waymo was actually started, in a sense, back in 2005.
Wow.
It was kind of originated from Google's self-driving competition program,
Yeah.
which then grew into this more mature organization.
Isn't that how I think that's how big companies should do it? Like try to find things that might put you out of business in certain sectors and go start a startup incubator and let it see if it can grow into a company versus letting somebody else do it.
Exactly, Alex. It's everybody knows that this is a multi-billion-dollar space if it's successful. And it's going to be disruptor for our cities. It's going to disrupt how we commute from one place to another.
Yeah.
It would change the whole idea of vehicle ownership because
Right.
you would question yourself, is it make sense for me to own a vehicle?
Damn.
Or should I just use a Waymo?
Damn.
But at the same time, it's incredibly complex and it takes, I would almost say, a generation to develop this technology correctly because
Right.
of how complex it is.
What does that mean for a company like Uber? If there's autonomous cars everywhere, is Uber still around?
Well, actually, it's funny that you ask about Uber because Waymo's primary business model, the way they make money is transporting people around. So
Yeah.
it's essentially a robotaxi business model,
Right.
which in a sense competes with Uber. It now competes with Tesla,
Yeah, I know
And-
Elon's big into that.
and it competes with anybody else who is trying to move people from one location to the next.
Right.
What we do for our company at Havenshine, we don't actually transport people between
Sure.
different locations. We transport equipment. But who knows? Maybe we should be offering free rides to some people on our lawnmowers.
Well, I'm just thinking in general, not even, we're going to get into your stuff specifically because I'm really excited to talk about that. But even just like, is Uber then, are they going to just merge their technology and their audience and their database? Because I imagine there's a lot of value in the amount of customers Uber has and to just quickly integrate into them. But are they partnering with Waymo? I'm just curious. I know you're not in that like smaller niche of cars, but certainly with the autonomous, you're on top of it. And I think you've came from that world and that kind of stuff too. What's your read on that?
Yeah, so Uber is one of the companies that try to develop autonomous equipment, autonomous on-road vehicles.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they had one accident that has shut their program down.
Oof.
And that's actually very common for the on-road vehicle industry. One small accident can shut down an entire program because there
Right.
is a lot of regulation involved, a lot of
Right.
human life concern, and so forth.
Even though humans make mistakes.
Even though
Exactly. Way more Waymo. What would you like that?
well, exactly, Alex. Like this is the thing. It's like if I got into an accident on the way to the studio,
Right.
And even though let's say it was my fault
Yeah.
for making this accident,
Right.
nobody would know about it. Nobody would even care, right?
No, and they would be like, of course there's an accident today. There's one every day, you know?
Exactly. Now, let's say I
Thousands.
was taking an autonomous Waymo on my way to the studio, and the Waymo got into an accident. This would make the national news.
For sure.
Right? And I guess my point here a little bit is that there is definitely an unfair discrimination
Yeah.
for the autonomous vehicles. They have to be perfect. Even though people are not perfect, we expect the autonomous vehicles to be perfect because of how novel the technology is and because of, I guess, mistrust in the technology, maybe partially because of all the Terminator movies we've seen.
Right. Are autonomous vehicles safer than human drivers?
Absolutely. It depends, I guess, on the situation itself. So, for example, if you've had a pack of 12 beers, you are not a very safe driver.
Right.
At that point, most autonomous vehicles in the market would be safer than you are.
Right.
If you've been driving a heavy-duty commercial truck for the past 18 hours without taking a break, you are extremely exhausted. At this point, even though you could be driving, you are not paying the attention you should be paying. And at this point, any autonomous vehicle is safer than you are. But if you are a professionally skilled driver who is fresh, who has been on the road for less than half an hour,
I mean, like to think I'm a pretty good driver, you know?
chances are you'll be safer than some of the vehicles out there.
Really?
Because you can anticipate and handle certain scenarios based on your experience and
Yeah.
based on your level of freshness better than some autonomous vehicles can.
Like, what would be an example of a scenario that I might handle better than AI?
So let's say you're driving through a busy city and approximately 50 feet ahead of you, you see kids who are riding bicycles or playing in a park.
Right.
They are in a nearby park. They are not on a street. They are not trying to cross the road yet. But as you see them, there is something that clicks in your head.
Yeah.
They're like, what if this guy decides suddenly to cross the street?
Yeah, his ball rolls in the street or something, right? Yeah.
And you start slowing down or you start paying more attention subconsciously, even as you approach that intersection. AI, unfortunately, still is learning to anticipate those scenarios. Another perfect example for autonomy that would fail is, let's say you're going through a street and you see a puddle. As you see that puddle, you're going to ask yourself as to why is there a puddle there? You might think, okay, you know what, it rained last night and it rained a lot, so there should be puddles, it's normal.
Yeah.
But if it didn't rain last night, you would be asking yourself, why is there a puddle there? And you would slow down a lot as you approach this puddle because you would be expecting the chance of a pothole underneath that puddle. So you would think there might be some huge kind of mess
Yeah,
there.
right.
And you would slow down and you would either avoid it or you would drive through it at very slow speed. An autonomous vehicle that doesn't have this intuition built yet, it might say, oh, puddle, that's okay. I'm used to puddles, go at full speed.
Right.
And it would probably destroy your car at that point.
Right. Exactly. So basically, all autonomous, does the technology kind of work the same? And I want to move. I know we talked about kind of cars, maybe trucks on the road, like semi-conductors, that kind of, or semi-trucks. Is that the same technology that you would also see with the tractors and agriculture, or with the mower in your case, the zero-turn mower? Is it relatively the same technology in terms of how it functions?
Yeah, so the autonomous safety aspect is similar, meaning both use cameras,
Right.
laser scanners, radars, you name it. They both use similar safety sensors
Yeah.
for protecting, for detecting obstacles and preventing collisions. The way they navigate is substantially different. So when you are dealing with city applications for autonomy or on-road vehicles, they usually localize against things, and that's how they used to navigate.
Okay.
They localize themselves against buildings, against fire hydrants,
Right.
against you name it.
Yep.
An autonomous agricultural tractor or an autonomous lawnmower usually has nothing to localize
Right.
against.
They're in the middle of a field.
They're
Yeah.
just in the middle of a field. So you have to give them something to localize against. And for autonomous tractors and for our fully autonomous Hero solution, that something is usually GPS satellites, which are located in space.
Okay.
Which is kind of crazy to think about, that we are localizing against satellites that
I
are
know, right?
so far away in space. But
Yeah.
that what gives you centimeter level precision of the absolute geospatial position of your autonomous equipment. For semi-autonomous sidekick solution, this is different. Because in a sidekick solution, we have a human operator that might be operating one of the machines manually, and then you have other autonomous machines beside it. So those other autonomous machines can localize against
Them,
the
yeah.
human operator, which gives you a huge advantage in applications like deep shade, whenever you cannot see the satellites, in applications like rural environments, where you just simply don't have cellular connection and cannot get the proper signals from the satellites.
So from a safety perspective, if one of the mowers, if there's a choice between like, I'm going to wreck the mower or like get near a child and potentially they jumped out of nowhere or something, does the mower know to wreck the mower and not go for like, how does, those type of decisions, which I don't think are probably like super common, but
Yeah, and those are actually extremely, extremely difficult scenarios to handle, Alex. On the implementation side, it's more difficult than you might think. And the reason for that is because in our application for off-road autonomy, usually there is no obstacles around the machine. And of course, the decision is always to go wreck the machine, especially if there is no driver on it.
Because it's just a machine.
It's just a machine, right? So the decision is always that. For on-road vehicles, the decision is way more complex because in an on-road vehicle, there is a lot of obstacles nearby. If you have a child who is crossing the street and you decide to save the child's life, then you might be either endangering the passenger who is taking a ride in the machine, or you might be endangering other passengers in other vehicles beside you. Right? So that decision becomes much more complex.
How does it make that decision then?
So I am not an expert on social ethics, but it's crazy to think about that organizations like Waymo, they do employ people who need to make ethical decisions for the organization. And have to, I know it gets a little bit crazy, right? But they would have to say like, okay, what do we know about the person who is crossing the sidewalk? What do we know about the person who is riding the car?
Wow.
What do we know about the people who are around the vehicle? How can we minimize the amount of fatalities in the next minute?
I wonder if it wouldn't value a kid's life more than like a 90-year-old crossing the street with a cane or something.
Yeah,
I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it's
but
like it's kind of crazy to think about this, Alex, because we as people, when we are driving and we need to make the decision in a split second, we will ourselves make the decision based on a bunch of different factors, based on how much we value our own life compared to the life of the person we might be endangering and so forth. And now we are outsourcing this decision making to an AI that would be responsible for either saving somebody's life at the expense of endangering somebody else's life.
It's kind of like the iRobot movie. Have you seen that?
Right.
Where the robot chooses to save, I think, somebody else, Will Smith, versus like a child or something like that. Because the risk of, or the calculation the AI robot did in its mind was that there was like an 85% chance he could save, and there was like a 5 or something percent, or the percentages are probably off, but it was like a way higher percentage chance. And the robot said, I could probably save you. There's a super low chance I'm going to save this other person. But from a human standpoint, it was like, save the other person, and so, because we don't think as analytical as that, we kind of think about more of an emotional decision, right?
Exactly, Alex.
And
I think that this topic of ethics in autonomous driving would continue to evolve for quite some time, because as we expand the utilization of autonomous vehicles, I know it sounds terrifying and unfortunate to think, but we're going to see more accidents. There is just no way to avoid them. We will see more accidents, and as those accidents happen, we will need to revisit the ethics around how do we preserve human life and how do we make sure that we minimize the damage to property and so on.
Yeah. What's the craziest thing that you've seen happen with the mowers in terms of just like maybe they ran into something or who knows? Just kind of like, have you seen anything wild with those or?
Yeah, the craziest thing I've seen with our machines is not actually a real accident, but coming close enough to an accident. More specifically, we were doing testing operations one time in a park in Naperville. And as we are testing things, we see a child, maybe age of 10 or so, enter the field with a bicycle. And out of nowhere, he starts riding his bicycle right across the autonomous mower. And as I saw him do that, I was in such a shock. I didn't even know what to do or what to say. The machine stopped.
Really?
The machine detected the bicycle coming. It detected the child coming, and it stopped. And at that moment, what I'm thinking to myself is like, wow, he came within few feet of that machine.
Really?
And intentionally. So he knew exactly what he was doing.
Oh, shit.
The society thinks that those machines, that essentially anything that's been deployed in public is extremely, extremely safe, is extremely, extremely trustworthy, and it's kind of safe to play chicken with it.
Jeez.
And as you can imagine, for the engineers and those who run those companies, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, yes.
It's a nightmare scenario because if the child makes one mistake and happens to come too close to that mower, the mower is a machine that moves at 10 miles an hour with 2,000 pounds of weight on it.
Right.
Surviving collision with that is not pretty.
Yeah. The same way you wouldn't do that with a human driving either. You just don't put yourself in harm's way on purpose, you know?
Well, exactly, Alex. And I keep recalling, as I think about the company, I keep recalling the situation we had. We were doing a demo a few years ago. We were at the very early stages of autonomy.
Yeah.
And we were doing a demo with a large landscaping company. And one of the fleet managers, he asks me, well, what happens if there is a child who suddenly goes and lays in front of the mower? And I thought the question was a little bit unusual. I asked him, well, how often does it happen to you guys that you are mowing the grass and suddenly you see a child coming and laying in front of the mower?
Probably never.
And he says, this never happens because children wouldn't do that because we have operators who are riding the machines. But you should expect it for your machine because it's autonomous. And I'm like, wow, you have a good point. And it was a couple of years later when we seen those kids riding bicycles.
And you saw it and you're like, okay, yeah.
We're like, wow, he was not wrong.
Right.
People would try to interfere with autonomous equipment simply because it's autonomous. Simply because it's novel.
Just to test it, right?
Just to test it out.
Just to see what's going to happen.
Right?
You know, let me just push the boundaries a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this
That's
is
humans.
And this is kind of almost like a nightmare scenario for the engineers to handle.
Yeah.
For the operators operating those machines, and of course for the company management. And this is partially why we decided to go down the path of introducing our semi-autonomous Sidekick product. Because when people see an operator as part of the configuration, they immediately know, oh, okay, somebody's watching it. There's no point interfering because he's just going to stop everything and come yell at us.
That's so crazy, man. So how long have you guys been, I assume at this point you've got the product out there in the marketplace, right? People like landscapers and things, companies are using it, right? You've been open for years. What's been the reaction from a customer standpoint and from the public and just getting the product out there now? What are people saying about it? How are they reacting? How is it maybe changing their businesses?
Great question, Alex. And just to kind of emphasize here, we are at what you call the early adopter stage. I would even say the ultra early adopter stage, where the people who are going and buying these products and deploying them, they are they are probably as excited about this technology as you are. Right?
Yeah.
So they love to see the progress. They love to see it happen. They love to take advantage of it and so forth. With that being said, we as a company are showing real profitability improvements to those who adopt it. They are measurable in terms of how much more efficient they are operating. It's also measurable of how much quality is being improved in their organization for the straightness of the lines they produce and the quality of the cut.
So it can cut better than a human.
Exactly. So for the fully autonomous mowers, they can cut more precisely than any human can.
Right.
I tried to cut this precisely.
Yeah, it's just impossible.
It's just tough because they use GPS and they make something around 50 corrections per second, which is very,
Wow,
very hard
that's
for a human to do.
insane.
Even if you're a fast human, it's tough for you to do it.
Plus, we also like readjust and like we're just human. We just do different moves.
Exactly.
You know, like
We get distracted.
right. We look at something else. Yeah.
We have flies trying to fly in our face, right?
Yeah.
You name it.
Right.
So for the autonomy, it does make sense, right? One of the difficulties with fully autonomous deployments in our space is path planning. I should say that's the most difficult aspect of deploying autonomous equipment that operates off the road is the need to generate path plans. Because path plans could adjust over time. So for example, as tree branches grow over time, or if
Right.
kids visit the site and they leave their scooters and toys on the grass, right?
Yeah.
It requires detection of obstacles, adjustment of the path plans, and so forth. And the cool thing about the use of our psychic solution is you do not need to create path plans. So you can come to a site, you put the mowers beside you, and they just go without the need to think about how you're going to plan the path, because you just plan it on the fly as you go.
So how does it work though? Because if you're going, I'd be curious, like the fully autonomous and then going with somebody. Because like if you're both going, like how do you know that they're not going to go left and they're not going to go right? You know, like do you have to plan out that? Is that what that is? Like plan out the yard and like give it the map and stuff like that, or how does that work?
So your question, Alex, is about the cutting pattern of a psychic flock.
Right.
So many people ask us that question just because the product is so new and so unique. We do have on our website a very good explanation of how the cutting patterns actually looks for psychic.
Yeah.
But the key to emphasize is think of it as the driverless mowers generating a runway for the manually operated mowers. So the human operator almost sees like a runway in front of them that they can just cut through. They don't have to think about anything else. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm going to get into that runway, I'm going to cut it, I'm going to get to the end of the line, turn the machines around. All the machines of the flock turn around, and then the human operator gets into the next runway.
But what about the fully autonomous one? Do you just, is it as easy as like you back it out of the ramp, off the truck, and then just, all right, go? Or how would that work?
So this is the dream, Alex.
Okay.
You know, my dream is that one day you can just take a mower that is supposed to be autonomous,
Right.
and you put it on the grass, and it just magically knows where to mow, where not to mow, how to plan its path, and so
Yeah.
on.
That's what you're working towards.
Right. Best
Yeah.
analogy would almost be like robotic vacuum cleaners.
Right. Or like a Roomba or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Because nowadays they can map at your house, right? They
Right.
see your walls, they map your house, and they just randomly figure out how to correctly maintain your space. Today, it's very different for commercial landscaping applications because there is often problems like there is no clear boundary between the space you're supposed to mow and the space you're not supposed to mow, like somebody's backyard, for
Yeah.
example, right?
Right.
And it's just a lot of more edge cases to handle as to how you set it up. And that's the reason we have to generate path plans, which are essentially definition of how far the mower can go in each direction, where it's going to turn, and so forth.
Right. Okay. And so you said customers are saving money? Like what's kind of the business impact from doing this? Are they, hey, we were going to hire 3 people, now maybe we just hire 1 or 2 because we've got these mowers that kind of can like double up on the work? Is that how it's been, or what's been the feedback?
Alex, yeah. So the typical use cases for the fully autonomous, for example, is that if you had a crew of 3 people,
Yeah.
it can now easily become a crew of 2 people, or even a 1-person crew who operates multiple autonomous machines, right? So instead of you coming to the site where one person is doing the open fields and another person is doing tight areas and trimming,
Yeah.
you now have one person who just deploys the mower. The mower can do the open fields, and in the meantime, the human does the tight areas, the trimming around the site, and so forth.
Right.
With the semi-autonomous psychic product, this has been even more interesting because now you have a human who is operating a mower at a typical speed that we usually operate it at, and you have another driverless mower that mimics the motion at the same speed. So essentially, they break down complex big sites and reduce the time by almost half on how long it takes to do it. We are seeing some excellent production rates from our customer runs, something on the order of 3 acres per hour per mower for a 74-inch machine.
Wow.
So as you can imagine, they go to a site that has 6 acres to mow. They cut that site in 1 hour with one human, and they go to the next site. It's almost like hiring on another human without actually hiring the human.
Right.
Right? You just
Exactly.
use the technology to do the job that a human
Yeah.
would need to do.
Yeah. Wow, it's kind of crazy. So if I'm listening to this, I might be like, this is all exciting stuff, but how, like, this is not a business that just anyone would get into randomly. Like, what's the reason that you got into autonomous, and then even to take it a step further, like, why lawn care, But I'm curious, what was your path to kind of start this business?
Alex, that's an excellent question. So I love technology, and I've been in the development of software for autonomous vehicles for some time before starting the company. So I had a little bit of knowledge of things like geospatial mapping, even knowledge of how engines operate and how electrical vehicles operate.
Yeah.
And then I decided that I am going to look into starting my own company that's somehow related to that space.
Right.
And then back then I was living in South Naperville, and I just bought a house that had a huge yard. I thought I got an awesome deal for that house. I'm like, the house comes with a huge backyard.
Yeah.
Great. It was my first home. I was
Yeah.
an inexperienced homeowner.
Right.
And I thought the bigger the yard, the better.
Yeah.
After the first time I mowed the grass on that yard, I was like, oh my gosh, what did I just do?
Yes.
This thing is going to take my whole weekend to maintain.
Uh-huh.
And this is kind of when I started looking into that market. It was back in 2013, and I began researching the market of autonomous mowing. And I've been following that market for some time until one day I decided this is it.
Was there much in that space? I feel like there's probably not a ton.
Yeah, so the first autonomous mower idea, as an idea itself, has been patented back in the 1980s.
Really?
People started looking into that back then. By the early 2000s, so this is 25 years ago, there were quite a few models of mowers that navigate randomly. They navigate in a pseudo-random motion inside the perimeter wire, which is kind of like similar to like a dog fence.
Right.
So you bury a wire, and then you put a mower there, and it just bounces back and forth until it
Right.
somehow mows your yard.
Yeah. Okay.
And then right now, the next evolution of technology that we are seeing is autonomous machines, like autonomous mowers that navigate using GPS or using some kind of predefined pathways.
Right. Much more complex.
Yeah.
So you build like a prototype for yourself basically, and then launch that, like take that to launch the business?
Yeah, I started building a prototype for myself. This was a company I literally started out of my garage.
So you're working full time, you're starting this as a side hustle. Or did you leave full time to say, I'm going to quit my job and go do this full time?
Yeah, what I did, Alex, is I started as a side hustle until I realized that it was way too much time consuming, and I could not
Right.
and I could not keep my full-time job going.
Yeah,
while
as every
also
business
doing
owner
this.
goes through at some point. There's a crossroads at some point.
Exactly. I just realized it's not going to work as a side hustle if I don't
Right.
do it full time. It was very high risk to jump into it full time,
Yeah.
but I decided that I want to do it and that the risk is worth it.
Were you worried about financially? Did you have to go get investors? Because this is not one of those this isn't I would think a financially intensive operation, right? You need technology. You got to build. You're building the mowers yourself, or are you using mowers and embedding the software technology inside the mowers? Do you guys actually make the mowers, or do you use software that goes in them?
Exactly, Alex. We do not make the mower
Right. That's what I
itself.
thought.
So we actually not as hardware intensive as you think.
Okay.
So we don't make the mower itself.
Right.
We do build the boxes that contain computers and controllers.
Okay.
And our core intellectual property is the software
Right.
that powers the autonomy.
Got it. So but you still got to go find a mower manufacturer or whoever else to put these things on there and all that type of stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. So we went through iterations of actually trying it with smaller machines and putting it on larger machines.
So I was thinking about your customer base. You serve technically lawn care providers, but isn't the customer the lawnmower companies? Because aren't you really trying to sell to them and then they sell direct to consumers?
Exactly. Our customers are public institutions like park districts,
Okay.
colleges, and commercial landscaping companies.
So you package the mower up with the technology and sell it as one unit. Is there a reason you wouldn't go to the manufacturers and just sell the technology or the software or do a partnership deal there? Is that not what you want to do?
Oh, absolutely. There is pros and cons to each approach.
Yeah.
It's all about the supply chain dynamics,
Yes.
right? As to what percentage of the cut every portion takes,
Yes.
and distribution model of dealerships,
Sure.
and so forth. But ultimately, yes, we are ultimately seeing ourselves as a technology solution provider that makes the best autonomous and semi-autonomous technology in the market, and that any manufacturer, not just lawnmower manufacturers, but in the future snow removal machines for skid steers, construction, agriculture, you name it, that anybody can integrate that stack into their machine and provide real value for their customers.
How long do you think it'll be before humans don't mow our own lawns anymore, or it's just an autonomous, like an everyday? Obviously now you start more commercially, bigger yards, of course. It's just, that makes total sense. But at some point, everything kind of comes more commercial and mainstream. How, if you had to guess in the future, where you'd walk down the street and you just see like mowers going?
Yeah, so I don't think such a day would ever come, Alex.
Really?
I don't think there would ever be a day where humans don't mow grass. The reason for that is not because the technology cannot be advanced enough, but because some people just simply enjoy lawn mowing. There are people out there who just simply enjoy to cut grass.
Right.
And if you make all lawn mowers autonomous and say you don't need to cut grass, they will say, no, I'm going to pay you money so I can cut grass because I enjoy doing it. So there will always be people who enjoy driving, who like to race and so forth.
I see that, but also there's no option now to not mow the grass yourself besides paying another human. So I don't know. Do you think that changes when there are legitimate, safe options that are well adapted and affordable at that point? You know, maybe you still got a small percentage of people that are like, I'd rather just mow it myself. But how long do you think? I mean, I would say, don't you think 90-95% of people are going to be like, yeah, just mow the damn lawn like robot? You know,
Right. Also depends on the cost, right? So
right, for sure.
So the ability for robots to replace people is right now it's innovative. Right now it's something that's exciting, and early adopters are jumping on it. In the long term, we have to show that it's less expensive to have the robot perform the specific task than to have a human do it.
Right.
And in other words, when you look at the minimum wage, you have to say that, look, it's much more affordable to have a robot do this task than to pay a human to do the exact same task at a minimum wage.
Right.
And this would really depend, Alex, on the type of sites and complexity of sites.
Yeah.
So, for example, I think we are still at least 5 years away from having a package that's sufficiently cost efficient that would be able to detect everything a human operator can detect on the field. So, for example, if you are a commercial landscaper, let's just say for a second you decide to quit your job there and become a commercial landscaper.
Sheridan Landscaping, we're in business. Yeah.
And then you are driving down the field and you see a glass bottle in front of you.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, I need to slow down my machine and pick up the glass bottle, put it in some trash bag on the mower, and I can keep going.
Yeah.
It would likely be, my estimate, about 5 years before commercial mowers that operate at 10 miles an hour have the capability to detect and remove a glass bottle. And it's not because the technology is impossible to make, but it's simply because it's not cost effective enough to make.
Right. A lot of things you could do, but it's like, do the economics make sense to really replace that at scale? And it's like, not really at this point, but just like flat screen TVs used to be like super expensive and like bulky and big. And now it's like, you can buy a flat screen TV for like $400 or less and like a decent size and a name brand one, you know?
That's exactly
over time, the cost. And the same with the electric cars, right? Like I think Tesla and Lucid and a lot of these other ones are the costs are seemingly coming down a little bit.
Well, that's exactly it, and this is why Waymo is making robotaxis and not selling autonomous cars, right? Because if they were to try to sell the autonomous vehicles, it's only the ultra wealthy, ultra rich could afford to buy a car that costs $5 million, right? But if you're running a robotaxi business model, then you can keep the inventory in house, you can keep ownership of those assets, and just lease them out essentially, which allows you to monetize on the usage, on a very high usage of them over time.
Right. So if cars, trucks, and mowers even are being driven autonomously, what does that mean for jobs, for humans?
I think it's a good evolution. It's we as people, we were meant to innovate.
Yes.
We were meant to make our life easier. We were meant to become more efficient.
Yeah. kind of what we do.
It's kind of what we do, right? I mean, if you look at what has happened for the past 1,000 years of human evolution, right?
Yeah.
We went from using horses to building cars,
Yeah.
right? A lot of jobs which involved taking care of horses, grooming them, or removing the poop,
Yeah.
right? Those jobs have been eliminated
Yeah.
because they're no longer needed because we use cars.
Mm-hmm.
As a result of that, many new jobs were created for the
Yeah.
car industry. When you look at autonomous mowing, it's just another innovation. It could be a very big innovation, but it is just another innovation. Meaning, we could have had a lot more workers working in landscaping if we made a regulation, for example, that lawnmowers should not exceed 26-inch in cutting deck width in size.
Right.
All mowers should be within 26-inch, and that way you have a huge industry that needs to be lawn mowing, right? Because big parks would require 10 people to show up at any time with small mowers and to cut them. The invention of zero-turn commercial mowers took a lot of jobs away. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
We made the industry much more efficient. One human can now has the same production rate as 10 small push mowers.
Mm-hmm.
What autonomous mowers do is they take it to the next stage, where we're saying one human now can supervise 2, 3, even 4 autonomous machines cutting the grass at the same time.
Yeah.
And yes, it reduces the number of jobs available in landscaping, but it increases the number of jobs that are needed for the software programmers to develop those things. It increases the number of jobs of mechanics who will be building these autonomous systems.
Mm-hmm.
It helps companies who run it become more efficient and elevates their people to the next level of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So it is almost like a career path for the companies that are adopting this technology.
Yeah.
So in other words, if you were running a landscaping company, instead of telling your employees, hey, you have no career path at all, you will be cutting grass in this exact way for the next 40 years, right? Instead of you saying that,
Yeah.
you can tell them, look, you have a career path in front of you. You are no longer a blue-collar laborer. You're now a supervisor of autonomous equipment.
Yeah.
You can get paid more. Your job is going to require a little bit more thinking sometimes, but you would now be able to have the efficiency of 2 or 3 people.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. How would you describe the relationship between autonomous and AI? Just so people understand. Like,
Yeah, I think they're very closely tied together.
right.
I wouldn't say they're one-to-one correlated,
No,
right?
yeah, no.
AI is a much broader field that has everything from natural language processing
Right.
to object recognition.
Yeah.
I think the biggest overlap there is around image processing,
Yeah.
right? So it's about looking at the environment around you, understanding that environment,
Yep.
correlating it to things you've already seen, and making decisions based on that.
Right.
So more like a bigger data science field.
Mm-hmm. The way I've always thought about it was AI is needed to be in autonomous things. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to read and predict and analyze data, right? But AI, obviously, to your point, is a huge field.
Yeah.
I think the jobs thing makes sense for what you guys like. I see, there's not as many taxi drivers or Uber drivers or lawn mowers, right? And that's probably a good thing because it allows us to do other things. It's kind of replacing a physical thing that we do. Where I think it gets tricky, though, is when AI replaces a lot of the mind jobs where you needed to be intellectual and it was not labor per se or a physical thing. It's like the Industrial Revolution. Everyone's like, oh, all those jobs got eliminated, but then new ones came up. But it's like, yeah, but that replaced, like, instead of 50 people plowing a field, like there was a tractor or two, and then those people went to the city and got jobs or worked on the tractors or designed them or whatever it is. I'm curious to get your take on how you see AI disrupting employment. Because for your stuff, it makes sense. But what about the mind jobs, as I would call them? Like where now it's not just AI's taking over or eliminating a lot of the physical labor jobs, but now it's like, you're an analyst, you're a lawyer, you're a marketer, you know what I mean? There's a lot of jobs out there like that are going to be disrupted.
Yeah, Alex, absolutely. So the bigger question there is ethical, right? It's on a high level philosophy of what we as humans would do once our jobs have been eliminated.
Yeah.
And I feel like I may not be the most qualified to give you the answer on what would happen, but it would be more along the lines of like, hey, I try to replace myself many times. I
Yeah.
try to have AI replace me on daily basis.
Yeah.
I automate what I can
Yeah.
so that I don't have to work as much.
Yeah.
And look, if one
Same.
day you can come to me and say, hey, yeah, look, I developed an AI that can run your company for you, which means that you can go on vacation for a month and it's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
I'll be like, because this is a genius invention. Thank you so much. I'm going
Yeah.
to go on vacation.
Yeah.
So the question
No,
really
you'd want to
becomes,
go build stuff though. You'd be tired of after a week. You'd be like, all right, I want to start building some
That's
stuff.
right. That's right. For me,
Yeah.
like 2 to 3 days at
Yeah,
most.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I need to
Right,
get back to
right.
building. But yeah, so the question becomes a little bit more philosophically. Is
Yeah, for
if
sure.
we were to replace ourselves, if we could replace our jobs, both the manual labor jobs and the intellectual jobs with AI, then what will the government do to make sure that people don't just all become homeless and starve because they don't
Right.
get paid? In other words, it's a little bit more around politics of making sure that everybody has some basic living standard, regardless if their job has been replaced with the AI or not.
Yeah. The universal general income, I think, is what they're calling it or something, right? Because, yeah, I do think it's not going to be like, oh, AI comes in and then it replaces this job, but then one job pops up in replacement of that. And it's like, I don't think it's a one-for-one game. I think there's going to be over the next 5-10 years, whatever it is, there will be some effects from this, you know? And overall, I think we'll be fine and we'll evolve like we always do, right? There's always been these, you know, moments in history. We're humans, we're resilient, we build shit, we figure it out. You would think, right? But there's certainly going to be some issues with income, with even purpose. Even if you give someone a check, are they happy? Are they just, I'll collect the check now and sit at home? Like, what do I do with my life? You know, and that's more philosophical, right? Or political or whatever, however you want to call it. But it's interesting.
Exactly, Alex. Yeah, those are some of the most difficult questions for society as we adopt and embrace AI.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would take time.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had a discussion about Waymo, and as much as I love autonomous vehicles, I just want to remind you that 99%, way more than 99% of vehicles on the road today are still manually driven.
Yes. Yes.
They're still not Waymos and they're
Right.
not Teslas or anything else, right?
Right.
So with that being said, it would take time for us to get there. It's not going to happen in one day.
Yeah.
And by the time we get there, I think it's pretty important for us to think of, yes, like once people's jobs have been replaced, what are they going to be doing on a daily basis that would help us create a better world for the future,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I know if I was analyzing data every day and that was my job and I was crunching numbers and putting things on, I'd be nervous. You know, I'd be thinking, well, I wouldn't be nervous. I would just be thinking, how do I start using AI to replace myself? What type of job career paths can I learn? What type of skills can I start learning now? I think the danger is if you just sit back and say, it doesn't affect my job today. And then one day the company comes in and goes, hey, we got this awesome technology. We don't need 100 of you. We need 10 or 5. And it's like, oh shit, I wasn't thinking about this. So it's like you can't just bury your head in the sand and like hope it's not going to affect you. I mean, we use AI just like you. I use it every single day. Like we're going to use AI to chop up this video content. It'll detect who's talking or what's happening and it'll go to that camera, right? I mean, that saves an hour or two of an editor going through and manually doing it. You know what I mean? So all types of stuff. But yeah, it's going to be a wild decade, I feel like, you know, like it's just, there's a lot of change that's coming. And my advice, just like you said, is like, be adaptable, try to put yourself out of business if you can, figure out a way to use it, get aggressive with it, understand it, use it every single day. And then I think the other side of that is leverage the non-AI stuff like relationship building, maybe some networking, emotional intelligence, learn how to lead and coach and develop people and teams. Because I think those things are going to be more important than ever.
Exactly, Alex. And I have to admit, like, not all societies are structured the same way. But in the United States, we are driven by profitability of companies.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not, this is how the society operates
Yeah.
today. Which means that if you work for a company where you are a bottleneck on them being able to generate profitability
Gone.
because you don't want your job to be replaced,
Yes.
you have to realize that it's only a matter of time before your job will be replaced.
Yes.
So instead of looking at an AI as an enemy that's trying to take my job away, you can think of AI as your best friend
Yeah.
that makes your job easier, that allows you to do more for your company while receiving slightly higher compensation,
Yes.
right?
That's right.
And that's the moment you switch that mentality, the moment you understand that the adoption of technology in general and the adoption of AI is not there to replace you,
Yeah.
but to make you more efficient, that's the moment you feel that, yeah, my job security is guaranteed forever because I'm going to continue to look at the latest trends in technology. I'm going to continue to adopt the most efficient trends,
Yeah.
and I'm going to generate even more value for my company, which would make my company more profitable.
In terms of AI in general, are you optimistic about AI and as it result, like just from a human civilization standpoint? You know, if you flash forward 100, 200 years, are you at all worried that AI could potentially take over humans at some point? Or do you just not go that route at all?
Yeah, I think that AI still has a while to go to catch up to human intellect in some areas.
Yeah,
And in other areas, it already exceeded human capabilities a long time ago.
for sure.
Perfect example I think of is chess,
Oh, yeah.
right? When computers first started playing chess, people thought that it would be impossible for a computer to defeat the world champion in chess.
Yeah.
Until that happened.
Yes.
Right.
Now
And-
it's impossible to beat a robot.
And once
Like,
it happened, right,
yeah.
nobody has doubts anymore. The computer can play chess better than people can, right? Because it's a well-structured task that can be well-defined,
Yeah.
and there is no competition
play
anymore.
out every scenario humanly possible in a fraction of a second.
Exactly,
I mean, what are you going to do with that?
exactly. It's just a way more advanced than the human brain can ever process. But when you go to other tasks which require a lot of human intellect, a lot of human thinking, even something as simple as lawn mowing, I think we're still many years away before AI can do the task of lawn mowing as best as the most experienced human operator.
Yeah.
And that's just simply because of everything that can go wrong, from
Yeah.
flooded sites to glass bottles being on the field to anticipating a kid who is hiding behind the tree so he can ride his bicycle across the field,
Right. Yeah.
right?
But you remember watching the Terminator movies, right?
Sure.
And remember, I don't, decades ago when those came out, it was just like you would watch it and be like, "That's so crazy." You know what I mean? Like, there's not fucking robots that are gonna we're gonna have to go to war with robots. And I'm not saying that's gonna happen, but as you think about it today, though, it just it's a little more plausible. It's a little bit more yeah. I mean, there's a version of where we could go down that path where the AI could get so good, 50, 100, whatever it is. And we're not there today, obviously, but at some point it keeps getting better and better and better. And the AI just kind of looks around and is like, why do we need you guys again? Yeah, I don't know if you're needed. I don't know if this is the most efficient way to run the planet. And so, I don't know. I'm optimistic overall, but I think it's interesting. You'd be almost lying to yourself if you didn't think there's a possibility it could go that way. Or it gets in the hands of the wrong people. And there's going to be that too.
For sure, yes. AI could become a weapon if it gets in the hands of people who misuse it for that purpose.
Right.
Anybody who builds AI for applications that do good needs to think of having kill switches
Yeah,
and shadow switches.
that's right.
In case things go wrong,
Shut it
because
down.
they would go wrong.
Yes.
They would go wrong at some
A bunch
point.
of mowers attacking everyone.
And you got to make sure you have a kill switch that's integrated with multiple levels of redundancy.
Yeah.
So you have to build
That's
redundancy at different stages to make sure that if this kill switch fails, we still have that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the moment AI starts to make bad decisions, Alex. That's the moment that hopefully we have built enough protection and safety systems not to allow it to happen.
Right. It's kind of wild to think about.
I'm gonna share something funny with you. So I watched the Terminator movies when I was a child,
Yeah.
and I really like those movies.
I love them.
And I didn't really kind of pay attention to the backstory of how Skynet takes over the world and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks ago, me and my daughter decided to watch Terminator movies. My daughter, she's 12 years old.
Okay, cool.
She's
Well,
like,
I have an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old now. So yeah.
and she and I decided we're gonna spend Friday evening and we'll first watch Terminator 1,
Yeah.
and then the next Friday we're gonna watch Terminator 2.
Yeah.
And one of the things I noticed about that show, the movie, is they went into the backstory of how the war began with the robots. And I was surprised to see something very, very small in a geospatial context there, is that the robots, once they decided to rebel against the US forces, they did not go and attack US. They went and they attacked Russia because they knew that by attacking Russia, Russia will automatically assume that they were attacked by the US, right? And there you have a nuclear catastrophe, right?
Wow. I don't remember that part about it. But
Yeah,
it's been a while since I watched the first one.
Yeah. And
I didn't even know that.
And it's kind of like this is an interesting backstory that they
That's
have.
Smart. You'd go attack China, Russia, just
exactly
blow it up.
Exactly, just attack them because they would automatically assume that they've been attacked by the US, and then you have a nuclear war, right?
But wouldn't that also destroy the AI if they're just launching nukes? Though they must have had a plan for that.
They must have had a plan. Yeah. They must have knew exactly which targets would be destroyed and so forth.
Yeah, not the data centers. Keep the data centers alive.
Keep the data centers alive, exactly. So it's kind of like as we build the AI, it's also important to some extent, right? Because we're trying to compete with China on AI, and we're trying to compete with Russia.
We have to, otherwise we're really screwed if we don't go aggressive with it. Yeah,
exactly. And at the same time, you can almost think of it as being like, okay, what kind of security protocols we have in place that if the AI in one of the countries goes bad, that we know it's the AI that's going bad and not the people, right?
Oh man, that's a great point.
Yeah,
wow,
it's just a lot to it. Yeah.
How do you know if it's actually the country attacking you or some malfunction or AI or some bad actor, right? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. So for your business, what's kind of the vision? I mean, what do you want to have happen over the next 5 to 10 years? I know obviously you want to advance the technology and bring in more customers, but what's kind of the end game for you, if there is one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see the company grow.
Yeah.
We are heavily focusing on expanding our sidekick deployments because of the efficiency they offer and the safety they offer. It's kind of like the best of both worlds. Is you have AI, but it's human supervised AI, where the human has access to an enabling switch and can shut everything down in a split of a second. So that's one of the things we're looking at heavily. And then we are expanding hopefully into more complicated sites, smaller sites with deep shade, a lot of trees. And then we are going from there into additional applications, such as potentially snow removal, agriculture applications, fertilizing, you name it.
That's really cool. What's been the most challenging part about growing a business like this? What's been like a low point where you're like, man, I don't know if this is going to work?
Yeah, for a company like ours that's building, where its core business is building relatively complex technology, it's hard when the technology doesn't work. It's hard, right?
Yeah, I could see that.
Some days you're like, oh my gosh, so much effort has been invested into it, and it just doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And the worst is when you cannot explain why it doesn't work, right? And then you start blaming the AI because it's trying to do something there, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been. I'm sure you have such days in every company that builds anything.
For sure.
But for a company that's developing something new, and when things don't work and you cannot explain why they don't work, that's usually one of the lowest points.
Right? Were there ever moments where you thought about shutting down the business or getting out of it?
Oh yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What were those moments? Like when the technology doesn't work?
Well, I mean, all kind of reasons. It just most days I'm very excited about building this company and growing the business. But just like any other entrepreneur who is kind of constrained by what they can do financially, constrained by what they can do, by how much time they spend with the children, right?
Yeah.
You keep thinking about a lot of things, about a lot of scenarios and how they could play out.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, the way it's looking so far, Alex, I am super excited to grow it.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe make it a company that operates across multiple countries at some point.
Yeah. Do you have a team, investors? Like, what's the team look like now?
Yeah, we are a team of 4 people full-time, a couple people part-time. We do have some investors. We are definitely going to be looking to raise more as we have attraction and expanding both sales and deliveries. And yeah, excited to see what comes out of it.
That's cool. If you were talking to you of several years ago when you first started the business, you're talking to a brand new entrepreneur. What advice would you give yourself as a new entrepreneur day one that you know now that you didn't know then? You learned a lot. As we do every year, it's like, man, you feel like you just went through another MBA or something, you know?
Yeah, that's right. And that's a good question, Alex, because I actually don't come from the business world.
Right.
This is the first company I founded.
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot of things on the fly. Everything
Sure.
from the legal aspects down to
It's a
sales,
lot. Yeah.
marketing, you name it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. Trust more. Give more responsibilities to others who want to help you. Manage them to make sure that they deliver those
Sure.
things. But the sooner you learn to not do everything yourself, and the sooner you learn to hire the right people and give them the tools they need to be successful, the faster you'll be able to grow your company.
That's good advice. Ilya, I appreciate you coming down here and doing this. This was a really great conversation. Where can people go find you, connect with you, learn more about what you do, and maybe even describe like a good customer for you guys right now? What would they look like?
Yeah, you can find us on our website, havenshine.com.
Yep.
We have contact information there. You can reach out to me through the website. You can also connect with me directly on LinkedIn, and definitely follow the Havenshine LinkedIn and Facebook channels for updates.
And what about a good customer for you guys? If someone's listening right now, what do they look like?
Oh, you're asking like what is the ideal type of customer?
Yeah, just so if someone's listening, yeah.
Yes, if you are a commercial landscaping company or a park district that maintains large open land, if you have large open sites that and you feel like you've always wanted to get in technology, never knew how, or maybe you already started deploying small robot mowers and they're not quite doing what you want them to do, then give us a shout and we'll come up to your site, we'll evaluate it, and before you know it, you'll be using the most efficient and safest technology available in the market.
Love it. Have you talked to St. Charles Park District yet?
Yeah, I think I
Yeah?
spoke
Did
to
you?
them
Yeah,
at
good.
some point. I
Yeah.
probably should reconnect with them.
Yeah.
We made a lot of progress since our last conversation. We'll
Yeah.
touch base with them.
We'll have some good content to show them from this episode, so you can
Oh.
get that in front of them. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Thank you.
Alex, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
My pleasure.